Both brass tubes now are cleaned out, and I used a shaft that had the cutter on it. And the reason for that is because it's sharper on the end and it catches the hardened CA glue better, and I can plow it out a lot better using that type of shaft. Anyway, I was careful, didn't gouge anything, so I didn't increase the diameter of the brass tube. A few little scratches here and there, but they're not going to hurt anything and nobody's going to see them anyway. So I've got an idea here and I'm going to tell you about it. One of the viewers made this suggestion: why don't you just take and grind the sharp edges off of this one right here, and then it would be a little closer in size. And I mentioned to him that, yeah, that's a good idea, except that occasionally I do get a brass tube that would be exactly this size, or exactly this size, or exactly this size. And then, I would not be able to take advantage of the fact that there is a cutter on here. Now, even though it might be exactly the right size, I still have to be very careful when I'm in the drill press that I, just don't go in crooked. However, there's another solution to this, and I've actually done this before. Now, this is an extra brass tube. You may recall I always say order the extra brass tubes. Well, this is from the Cushion Grip pen kit, one of the extra ones. Now, what happens is it will fit perfectly inside here. Okay, then this one here will fit perfectly inside there, and that just sort of helps to take up the slack. It's a lot better. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, the smallest one here, that's for the slimline kits. I used to have one of this style for the slimline kit, and I sacrificed it when I made this one here for the Emperor kit. What's inside there is actually a cutter. And I know I could have made up, a custom-made one of these shafts yesterday on the metal lathe, like this. But that's a lot of work. And, once it's work, it's not fun, right? So anyway, this is what we're going to do. And it should work pretty good. Now I want you to notice a couple of things here. First of all, and probably most important, is that you see this crack right here? Well, it appears that the EnviroTest has filled cracks like this, as well as the larger ones like this, and like this, and like this. I think there's going to be very little voids there. However, there's another thing that I want you to notice, and that is that you see the tear out right here? Well, that's probably because this wood is so soft. What I should have done before I did the barrel trimmer thing is reinforce the end with some CA glue. But I'm going to do that right now anyway. And then that way, I hope I don't have to clean out my brass tubes again. And the reason I'm doing this is so that when I'm turning it down on the lathe, there's going to be less chance of the end tearing out. I'll just let this, so I put a little bit too much on there. I hope that'll soak in. Move it around a little bit here. And I guess if I have to clean out the brass tubes again, well, I'll do it. Won't be the end of the world. Okay, we'll see how that looks after a few minutes. Well, that's about 8 or 9 minutes now. And it's still liquidy. Guess maybe I better dab it off. Probably going to have to go over with a barrel trimmer again. But then we'll see the difference. Now the other end I did the same way, only I left it for probably 25-30 minutes. And surprisingly, there was a few places where the CA glue hadn't set. So I sprayed it with the curing agent, and then I went over everything again with the barrel trimmer. Just took it down just so it just touched the brass tubes, and everything's nice and even now, and I don't have that tear out. I think it's going to work a lot better in the lathe, a lot less chance of having a problem when I get down to the bushings. About 3 months ago, I accidentally touched the mandrel with my wide scraper when I was trying to do the left side bushing. And I don't want that to happen again, so I'm going to switch to my narrow scraper here. The wide one is 1 inch wide, the narrow one 1/2 inch. I think I'd better quit with the scraper while I'm ahead here and do the rest with sandpaper. I'll start out at 220 and I'll work my way up to, maybe 1500, because I want that acrylic to have a bit of a shine to it. I'm noticing that this wood is just a little bit soft here. And I'm thinking I would probably be smart to strengthen it with CA glue, because the wax or polish is not going to strengthen it, at least not very much. So, better do that. Now, because I don't want the bushing to end up getting glued into the end of the blank here, I put on I don't know what that is, sort of a nylon. A friend of mine gave me a bar of this, and I made these bushings out of it. And the CA glue won't stick to this stuff, whatever it is. I forget the name of it. And I've fought my way into large disposable gloves here. Large for what? Pygmies? Took me about a minute to get that thing on. Anyway, I'm going to use CA thin here. And the lathe will be turning over about 200 RPM. Well, that's 1500 grit. I don't think it's going to look a whole lot better after I put the polish on, but we'll do the cut and shine thing and see what happens. And I went to much more of an effort to get the blank turned down right to the bushings. That way I'm probably not going to have to round over the ends like I usually have to do. Notice I got a little tiny bit of tear out there. Okay, I'm pretty satisfied with that actually, considering the kind of wood it was. I'm going to start out here at about 400 RPM, maybe a little less. I can kind of feel the grit in there, or maybe it's my imagination. I know it's there because you can see the black. That's from the bushings. That's why I'm going from the center to the outside with a clean spot each time. That way I'm not going to be rubbing the metal into the wood. That's my theory anyway. And once I stop seeing black, then I know I can crank the RPM and buff it. That's about 2500 RPM. And as I've said before, it's not going to look a whole lot different than that even after the 4th or 5th application. So I'm going to go ahead and do those applications and see what we've got. Now I forgot to count, but I think I've got 5 applications there. Now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do the other one the same way, and we'll just see how different they are. And we're done. I did the second one, which is on the right, exactly the same way. And they're mirror image to each other. In other words, they're nib end up against nib end. And yeah, it looks like the one on the right, I didn't turn it down all the way to the bushing, but actually I did. What you've got there is the clip end up against the nib bushing. But trust me, it's right to the bushing like it's supposed to be. Now I actually do have time to press these together yet today, but I'm not going to for two reasons. First of all, this episode is getting a little bit long in the tooth. And secondly, and most importantly, when I picked up that stick in Kelowna, there was somebody else with me, and I promised him one of the pens. Well, he's already said he wants the chrome kit, but he hasn't seen the blanks yet. So he's got to tell me which one of the blanks he likes the best, and that one I'll press with the chrome. However, if you want to make comments yourself and say which one you happen to like the best, well, go for it. It's not going to hurt anything. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it though. And thanks for watching.